Hi, this is Paul Slatkis, Good News Planet speaking. Lucia, Kaiser. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You know, when I get to read about all the good kinds of things you're doing, I say, boy, there's some people really working hard and giving back and successful, and you've done so many things. So congratulations. It's such a big honor to get to speak with you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm thrilled to be part of what you're doing, too. You're doing wonderful work. I love your sites. I love the Good News Planet. And I love the Peace Day party.
Yes. You know, I put quite a few of the people. I see that you were also attending the Peace concert in Lincoln Center. I don't think I got a chance to interview you there. I interviewed quite a few of the people, and actually that concert is in the Peace Day program. That was a big special event, wasn't it?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was really special.
So what's going on? I'm going to say what's going on because there's nobody, one of the greatest peace kinds of people was a man named Marvin Gaye, right?
Yes, you hit it, and I can actually announce that after 3.5 long years, I finally raised the final $4 million to produce the great Marvin Gaye movie entitled Midnight Love. We're shooting in Belgium next year, and I'm thrilled to announce we've got one of the hottest, if not the hottest, African-American actor on the planet right now, Chiwetel Ejiofor, from 12 Years a Slave, playing Marvin. We've got Viola Davis playing his mom, Paul Giamatti playing his agent, Helen Mirren. You'd have to know the script, but she's playing the aristocrat that basically helped Marvin when he lived in Belgium and produced Sexual Healing, which a lot of people don't know. That was the only Grammy he ever won. He came back to America, and that's when his father shot him. But before that, I personally met him. When my husband was alive and we were living in Hawaii, he came to do one of his last concerts in Honolulu. And afterwards, because, being in the entertainment industry, and I was quite well known in Hawaii, the promoter introduced us, and we took Marvin out on the town and spent literally almost 24 incredible hours getting to know him. So obviously I was devastated, as the world was when his father shot him. The film has never been produced, and I can't tell you how excited I am about this. I'm jumping out of my skin.
Mercy me. Well, that's, there's a peace song of all peace songs. Thea is going to be part of the New York New Works Theater Festival because she does tremendous amount of philanthropic work, and here again you're going to lend your name, your credence, and your wisdom to young people trying to move their lives further in the world of Broadway and entertainment. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel, warm and fuzzy. In fact, I called a few of the contestants earlier, and they were very happy to talk to me and get a happy wish for the day. I love participating, and I love to mentor if I can, young folks today. So I'm a motivational speaker too. I haven't had very much time to speak these days, except for a few weeks ago I was part of a conference with the Broadway producers and myself. So I love it whenever I can get out there and spread my wisdom. It makes me feel great.
How did you, give us an idea just so people can see some kind of a way that you got to where you are now, and even the Democratic Party running that, and you really made a lot of maybe those were your goals. What were your goals when you were a young person?
Well, I kind of have a very interesting start. I was born, and I'm telling this story because it's going to be in my book and my movie that I'm producing after Marvin Gaye and after Framed. But I was born in the middle of the ocean. My parents immigrated from Messina, Sicily. So I was born as they were coming to New York in the middle of the ocean. And I've always wanted, even when I was a younger person, I always felt I wanted to be in the entertainment industry and I always wanted to go to Hawaii. So I ended up running away from home when I was 15 because I had danced on a very famous show years ago where I met Sammy Davis Jr., who was my first mentor. And I was 14 years old, but I had ID that I was 21. And so I ended up making money on this particular show, meeting a lot of amazing people. I graduated high school at 15, 2 years, ahead of my time. I went to Hawaii, became a professional surfer, came back, became a model. And I was a Revlon lipstick girl for 2 years, by the way. And I ended up working for the great Johnny Carson. And Johnny, when I was 18 years old, I was, started out as an intern or a gopher in those days. And in 1 year, I was the first woman executive that he had ever hired. And I was his talent coordinator. I booked the show and his publicist. For 5 years, that was my real mentor. Johnny Carson started my entire career. And I met the greatest people in the world. Many of them are still my friends who I actually booked on the show. But, I mean, I've gone, because people always wonder, how do I know so many people? I'm a person collector. Then I realized I wanted to become a TV producer. So I ended up, producing I became famous for documentaries that made a difference, where I won 2 Emmys. I also ended up in Hong Kong, and I was the only female that ran Bruce Lee's company for 2 years in Hong Kong, which was one of the most extraordinary times of my life. And then I fell in love with my husband in Europe and moved back to Europe, and then we went back to Hawaii, where I lived and became quite famous for I started the Maui Film Festival there. Yes, when President Clinton was president, the 2 terms, I ran the Democratic Party and became very good friends with Hillary and Bill. Went to both his inaugurations and the personal parties, and I've stayed in touch with them. Actually, I'm actually seeing them at an event I'm hosting at the UN at the end of September that they're going to be attending. And then, of course, I wanted to be, all the years I was in TV and did so much, I wanted to get in the film industry. And so my husband had unfortunately tragically died in Hawaii, and the memories were wonderful but too painful to stay, so I decided to move back to New York and start my career in film. And people don't realize how many years it takes to get an extraordinary package as I have with the Marvin Gaye, totally with great script, a reasonable budget, and extraordinary cast. And another movie I'm producing called Frames, which is written by the great Terrence Winter, who, wrote The Wolf of Wall Street, Boardwalk Empire.
Hey, wow.
Yeah, and Sopranos. And we're actually in the process, we'll be shooting that in pre-production this year, before I even go to Belgium next year on Marvin Gaye. And that's an extraordinary story based on my partner, Todd Volpe's life story in the art world, and it's going to expose the corruption in the art world. And it's quite major. It's a $30 million budget. The funding is there. We're in the midst of interviewing some A-list directors, which I'll hopefully be able to Richard Rubenstein we just signed with, so he'll be doing a lot of press in September on this. So, yeah, I've got my hands full.
So how do you fit in, these other kinds of outreaches? I mean, you have a long list of philanthropic organizations you're connected to.
Yeah.
How do you fit it in?
Well, that's the one thing people have known me my whole life. They say, if we could only package Lucia Kaiser's energy, we'd become a billionaire. I just, fortunately I'm able to do what I do because I totally 100,000% believe in giving back. I mean, if you don't give back to me, what's the point? In my opinion. And I think the people who do give back are much happier, joyful, and peaceful, with their lives. But I do as much as I can. I would even do more, but I can't. I do as much as I can. And actually, I'm on the board of several organizations, and And I now have to stop saying yes. I have to put a note to it at the end when people ask me. It is becoming a little too much.
Yeah, because I see Humane Society, New York Restoration Project, Gabrielle's Angel Foundation, New York Center for Living. I mean,
right.
yeah, you have and these are very successful organizations, probably because you've also associated with them. I would imagine. I mean,
well,
look at this picture.
I was with Denise Rich from the beginning. When I first came to New York, her very first fundraiser with Bill Clinton and Natalie Cole and Patti LaBelle, friends of mine too. I helped her, organize that and have been a big supporter for many years. So I'm very proud of how far that's come, and including also Bette Midler's organization. I've been part of that almost from the beginning too. So yeah, it's just very exciting. I mean, I love, as I said, I love anything I can do to help give back in this world, so we can find more peace and harmony, which makes me happy.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I know these organizations because we're lucky enough to get an opportunity to interview the people running them or people involved with them with our Good News broadcast. So almost everyone that you said, I've done a show on my in our 16 years, because this is our mission, is to support people doing good. And isn't it, I think one thing you learn when you do good is how many people are doing good and how many people are helping. What's your thinking on that? No,
I agree, and in the last few years, actually, I've several people in my life, and they're rather wealthy, and several billionaires that I know. I'm actually distancing myself from them as getting away from them because they're not giving back. They're not helping those that, and especially these people could afford easily to write. They think giving back is just writing a check. And, as you and I both know, that's not it. That's not just about giving a check. Everyone can give back and help, even if they have no money. I had an organization years ago in Hawaii after my husband died called You Can Make a Difference. And I started a radio show that went over to 200 stations throughout the United States where people would call in an 800 number, and whatever they needed, I would connect them in different states. And whatever the people could help with, they did. It was unbelievable. And I'm not saying I'm Oprah Winfrey, but I started this way before Oprah started her Angel Network. We were way ahead of the game. In fact, we got the points of light from President Bush in D.C. and, all sorts of accolades from all over the United States. And I was one of the greatest 5 years of my life. But unfortunately, I got so obsessed with giving back that I almost went bankrupt. So I had to, I had to go back to making money. You know what I'm saying? So, I got you. I understand. So when you called some of these young people that are going to be part of the festival here, what were you talking about? Well, it was a brief call. I just was really congratulating them on, their particular what they had written and their submission, and they wanted to know a little bit about me, and they just seemed very surprised and very happy. It wasn't a long call, but it was nice that, it was nice to get the response I got. What do you think is some of the key, since of course you do the motivational speaking, so you spend some time thinking about it all. What are some of the keys in maintaining in this industry and in the entertainment industry? Let's use as the example. Number one, which is very rare, as you know, is integrity. Integrity and being forthright. And obviously, I have a track record. Not that's obvious, but I have a track record, fortunately, of investors have made money with me. They've always, they've always got their original investment back and plus. I believe in. I wouldn't want to take anyone's money, unless I know and I feel in my heart. There's no guarantees, as we know, but I want to make sure at least they get their funds back, and hopefully a big profit on top of it, or even a small profit. But I'm really sticking with the integrity part because I think that's why I'm so blessed to have so many great people in my life and a lot of followers. Because these young kids today, it's like the old days when I was with Johnny Carson. The rumors were I was sleeping with Johnny Carson. and because I was pretty hot, and I had the hair down to down my back, and it was so untrue. I mean, I worked like a slave, double or triple any gentleman, because of being a woman in those years. It was very difficult. So no, I'm once again, it's about integrity to me. Being honest and forthright, and just sticking to your guns.
Wow. Well, you're really a tribute and a very, very strong woman, and especially on the early days of television. I agree. It was not a women's medium, especially in the executive ranks. And and the Carson Show, I have a CD, The Best of Johnny Carson. I loved him. I loved the show, and and all kinds of things were said overall in general on, how you make these kinds of shows and how you stay on the air. But boy, did they get great talent on there, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we don't have the time. I wish we did, but I can go through. I booked the greatest, like Fred Astaire, Burt Lancaster. Actually, Burt Lancaster became a friend of mine until he died. I mean, I can name the legends, but we don't have the kind of time.
Oh, I hear you. We'll talk again. So there was a couple questions. Two questions I wanted to ask you, and one was, what is good news for you?
Good news for me is health, happiness, calmness, peace of mind. When I hear good news, all that comes to mind. Yeah, health being the number one. That
without it. It is number one. And then what would be peace for you? What is peace for you?
Well, peace for me is harmony, coexistence, and a feeling of well-being, a state of contentment through successful conflict resolutions, sharing experiences with people who understand perfection does not exist. And again, I'm going to end with calmness, peace of mind, happiness, and absence of war. That would be my peace.
All right, Lucia. Thank you so much for sharing good news with us. Real pleasure and honor, and look forward to having a great festival with you and collaborate on more in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Okay, Lucia. Bye-bye.